sad times in my head. That's a few things come up and just let them go.
Change my life. It's made change the way I think. Change my life.
Been very emotional.
All right, here we go. Go again. Take two. Welcome back to the podcast. I am Tahi. This is Jacob. We've got Max over the back here. Little smile. There we go. Yeah, sorry I've been a little bit absent on the last couple. I've had a bit of a run, but I am back and ready to go.
Just a bit of a run, yeah?
Yeah, just a little
Just
bit
a
of
small run.
Just a small run from Queensland to
Newcastle.
but
Yep.
we're here. We made it. Thank God.
Yep.
Yes, today we have a special guest. I'm going to let Maxi introduce her because it's a special one for Maxi.
Special to Maxi over here.
Yeah.
Maxi, let's do the honours.
So with us today, we have the lovely Jenny Matthews, who is in this empowerment space as well. But more importantly, she used to babysit me when I was a little one.
Yeah. These are the stories.
This is where it
want.
all started.
Yeah.
Yeah. So welcome, Jenny.
Welcome.
Nice to have you.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
That's
So
okay.
welcome.
Yeah.
So welcome. Yeah. So, how are you first of all? Before we even get to the journey.
Fantastic. Yeah, happy to be here today.
Yeah.
Perfect timing.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
That has been good. Yeah. So, Jenny, we'll let you, we'll get it flowing. Let everybody know who you are, what you do, where you live. Where pretty much let us know who you are.
Yeah.
Well, I call myself a kinesiologist, but I'm also an empowerment coach, a hypnotherapist, art therapist, counsellor. So a whole realm of things. So when someone comes to see me, I personalise my treatments by drawing on all those skills to match their individual needs.
Mm.
So, and it's because I'm interested in the unconscious mind and the underlying emotion, because I think that's where the change happens.
Mm.
And I think I've always been that way from a young age. I think around 5, I got sores all over my body, and nobody could tell. And I used to have to go to the children's hospital every 3 weeks, and they didn't know what they were. And they lasted for years. And you got bullied and had issues with self-worth and things like that. So my self-worth got impacted by then, but it's sort of other areas of my life and what I witnessed in my family also impacted self-worth, so, which actually led me on this journey to improve my own first and then help others. But just getting back to these sores, when I'd had them for about 6 years, and I was in like 5th class, just going into 6th class or something, and somebody mentioned, and I don't even know because we didn't mix in those circles back then. My parents are pretty straight shooters out in the western suburbs in Sydney, that if you got rid of a virus or a disease within a 7-year cycle, it doesn't repeat in the next cycle, is what they told me. And at the time, I didn't know if that was true or not, but I believed it. I thought, there's hope, I can get rid of these. So without even knowing any of this mindset stuff at the time, I started to see myself sitting in front of all my friends with my legs shown, because I used to always cover them, just being a normal person, having my legs shown, just doing normal things that people did when they showed their skin, because I always had mine covered up so no one could see me. And I believed it with everything. And I did everything I could to not itch, because they were like horrendously itchy, to not scratch them. And there was like 3 weeks to go before the 7 years was up. And I had one left down here. And I actually like that now, because it's a scar that reminds me of the power of the mind. And so and that was when I was 11, I learnt that the mind can overcome. And I don't know if that's true, the 7-year cycle thing. I think I have heard it. But that's actually led me on a path throughout my life where I've used those skills to manifest things throughout my life. And the more study that I've done about the mind, because the body's really a robot controlled by the mind. This is the control tower. And the change needs to happen here first before it can they're all connected, but it really does need to happen here first.
Yeah.
And I sort of used those skills throughout my life, even getting jobs. I'd go and buy a pair of shoes for the interview and go and visit the place where I was going to get the job. And I had the job within 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I always used the mind first.
Yeah.
But I've always looked for modalities that delve into the unconscious. So I've started off with kinesiology, because it does muscle testing, which gives you biofeedback from your body. It sort of bypasses your conscious mind, which is only 5% of who you are. 95% of what drives is your unconscious mind. Muscle testing bypasses that 5%, goes via your central nervous system and shows me stress or no stress, yes or no, depending on what I'm asking. So, and then hypnotherapy bypasses the critical factor, gets you into that unconscious. art therapy bypasses the critical mind and gets you into your unconscious when you're using art. And I can ask people about the picture. So all these things delve into the unconscious mind. So that's where my passion is. But I'm just trying to remember some of the questions you asked me, Max. I am based out at, I don't know how I got off on that tangent, but I'm Lake Macquarie. I've got a little cabin outside of my house now. I used to work at, the Golden Door Health Retreat for around 10 years, but I just love working from home now and in different businesses because I run courses in businesses as well. So, yeah. Did I answer all those questions?
I think you smashed it.
Yeah.
I think you smashed it.
As you were speaking, I was like, I'm going to ask this question. Then you answered it anyway. And I was like, oh, there goes that question.
Yeah, this is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
This is going to be cool.
Yeah. So speaking of those, what like the courses you come up with businesses, what sort of things do you tailor to them? Like, do you go in and analyse what sort of problem is wrong, and then go, right, well, these are sort of the things you can do?
The things that I work with businesses with, also I work with individuals, because they're individuals within businesses.
Yeah.
And you're working on the individual within the team, because the team's as strong as the weakest link.
Yeah.
So you need to work on all the individuals within the business. So I have to go on another tangent, sorry.
Go for it. Go tangent away.
Yeah.
So at any one moment, our bodies and our brains are being bombarded by 2.4 million bits of information. So if I say to you, what's the temperature of your knee? You weren't thinking about that before, but now you're wondering how hot or cold your knee is. And that's happening through all your senses and in all different parts of your body, mind, body and spirit. But your body can only handle 264 bits. Your brain can only process 264 bits. So what it has to do is use criteria to dilute that information down to 264 bits. So what it does is it uses your senses. I don't know if you've heard of VACOG, where you've got visual to auditory, kinesthetic. It uses all that. It uses past experiences, values, emotions, trauma. And so if you're someone who's had a bit of trauma and it keeps coming up for you, that's one of the visualizations that your brain will use as the criteria, because it doesn't judge what's good or bad. It just is. So it says, okay, for instance, if I'm going on a trip and I'm scared of flying and I'm visualizing a plane's going to crash, my brain goes, great, that's the goal. Look for planes going to crash. So I'll see every movie with planes crashing and every story about planes crashing, reinforcing.
Yep.
So it dilutes down to what you're telling it to look for to get those 264 bits. So if I had to explain this another way, if we were in this huge warehouse full of 2.4 million boxes of everything that could possibly happen in your life, the perfect partner, the most brilliant idea to get that, prosperity that you want, but also accidents, terrible things happening, all the other stuff that's going on in the world. And I give you a torch, and that torch can only light up 264 bits based on your experiences, your values, and your framework of the world, how you see it. You'll only see what you allow yourself to see, like based on those experiences, if you don't realise that's what's happening. And there's all this other potential that you can't see. So with the courses that I do, I teach people how to change their 264 bits, basically. I teach them how to use resources within their brains and bodies that they're already using, but in the opposite way, that they might be visualising what they don't want in preparation for in case something bad happens.
Yeah.
But the brain just sees that as a goal. It doesn't judge it. So there's ways, we've got resources within our body where we visualise things, the words that we use, the feelings and the thoughts that we have, that we're mostly using in the wrong way. They're powerful resources that we can use in the right way. So I basically teach people how to tweak those resources and get the 264 bits that you want in your torch. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100% it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Is that similar to, would you say, I guess, like visualizing what you want those 264 bits to be? Would you consider that like manifesting in a way, or do you reckon that's different?
Definitely manifesting.
Yes, yeah.
Everything that you're visualizing, talking about, seeing in your future is manifesting.
Yep.
The way that energy works, and we're energy, if you put us under a microscope, we've got space between our cells. We only appear solid because of how we're resonating and vibrating, and we've got light reflecting off us.
Yeah.
So we're directing energy with our thoughts and our feelings. And energy doesn't like space. So if you're visualizing something that you want, you have to visualize it as if it's already a
Already there?
reality. And what your brain does is says, okay, she's here and she's showing me that, which is the potential, because it doesn't judge it, it just sees it as potential. How do I close the gap between her and there? And then if you're consistent with those visualizations and also the words to support those visualizations, the language, you'll start to notice things that align with that goal.
Yeah.
Sometimes they don't look exactly like it. If I was visualizing making more money, and then I have this opportunity to join this women's meditation group, and I think, well, that's got nothing. It's going to cost me money.
Yeah.
But then I go there anyway because my gut's telling me, yeah, it's a good idea. And there's a ladies there are working on a project that they want me to be involved in that creates more money. You know, you don't judge how it's going to happen.
Just trust that it will happen.
I guess trust is a good word. Yeah.
I guess like self-talk as well would come down to like
your
manifestation.
language. Yeah.
Because on my run, I focused a lot on my self-talk. Because if I was saying I'm not going to complete this, I'd feel that, and I'd be like, oh, I'm going to have this injury, and I'd be like, all right, I'm going to work through this injury. I'll get through this injury, or I'm going to make it to this spot of the day. And I just took a lot of note in like how the way you speak to yourself.
Yep,
because
definitely.
I've seen in the past with like manifestation, there's the house I live in at the moment. I remember I said to myself, I'm going to live in this house one day. And literally 3 months later, I had the chance to move in. I moved into it.
And there is a thing about 3 months. They say that if you're really consistent, there's like a 3-month lag on manifesting
Yeah.
when you're consistent. I don't know how true that is, but you've just said 3 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it and like the way you might be able to explain it a bit better. Like when you say if you want something, say if you want this job, it's like you don't say, you don't say you want it. Is it say thank you for giving me this job or something? Is it?
Yeah, you see it as if it's already yours.
Yeah.
When I got the job at the Golden Door Health Retreat as their kinesiologist, I didn't really know much about them, and I couldn't get in there physically to see it because there's a big boom gate because it's under a lot of security. But there was a section that they had the Golden Door down in the golf club, so I went there and physically put my energy there. Just because it's easier to visualise when you can physically be there. So do whatever you can to support that visualisation, because the feeling behind it that you put with it is the fuel. Some people are scared of emotion, but if you can direct emotion, it's fuel to your intention, which it manifests. Yeah.
And I think too, like a lot of people don't take notice of what they say to themselves, because you see a lot of people on social media and stuff now be like, my life's so hard, like I've got this going on, I've got this going on, but they're like manifesting that, and then they put out posts that's like not helping themselves, and I don't think they see the power of what it's actually doing. So like it can be good, but people need to be aware of like manifesting bad stuff, because if you're going to speak in a bad way, you're going to put that energy out and it's going to come back to you of how you're doing it.
Your words, like your thoughts and your visualizations, they're sort of in a different realm, but as soon as you speak them, you bring them into the 3D. It's really powerful.
Yeah.
And your brain doesn't understand negative. So if you said an affirmation like, I no longer need to struggle, all your brain hears is struggle.
Yeah.
If I was selling a house and I said, it's never flooded, what are you hearing?
Flooded.
Flooded. All your brain's hearing is flooded.
Yeah.
So you actually have to say what you do want. I'm moving through life with ease, instead of I no longer need to struggle. You say it as if, my house is a beautiful home, or whatever it is. You don't talk about what you don't want. You always direct your energy the way you do want. And NLP's like that too. If you're talking to someone, if you're directing them to do something, it's like you will blah blah blah. I'm trying to think of an example on the top of my feet, but I can't. But you put words in there that give people direction. If you like words, there's also words that have no power, and there's words that do have power, and they do rank them. And things like try, the word try. Literally trying to do something means that you will never do it. It will never happen. You'll always be trying to do it. If I was trying to pick this book up, I would never actually pick this book up. So if you're talking about universal energy or whatever you want to call it, whatever it is to you, and your words are directing it, if you're telling the universe to try and pick that book up, it's going, what's she telling me to do? Like, I should say, pick the book up. I've picked the book up, or I'm not going to pick the book up. They're both powerful things if I decide not to, if I decide to. But if I say try, I've just weakened my language straight away.
Yeah, okay.
That's do you know all of this, like my partner is like so into what you're speaking about. She's gonna love this podcast. But when I first started this business, we had like not much funds. I had no idea what I was doing. I was just like, I know that I want to help people. That was like the overarching, I guess, preface of what I was wanting to do. And she was just like, well, it's okay to say it, but you need to really ensure what you're saying and how you're saying it, and give it, like you said, that fuel behind it.
Yeah.
And when I started doing it, I was just like, this isn't working. Like, this is, I'm sitting here visualizing this is going to work, like whatever. Here we are 5 years later, like, starting to go to a next level. And I look back on those moments back then, I was just like, even if I was in the headspace of like, this doesn't work, I can't deny it, because it literally has worked over the past 5 years of being getting into this position. Sure, my actions have backed it up, but that fuel behind it, and like you said, what you said just there, just re-jogged my memory of saying, I didn't say I'm going to try and make this successful.
Yep.
I said, I'm going to make this successful.
That's right.
And I'm going to do this. And it was consistent over and over and over again. And that was the fuel. Like, and there was no other thought process of like, what if? It's like, I'm going to do it.
And I guess something else you need to become aware of, and what makes it, and I tell my clients this all the time, is that your unconscious mind, its primary job is to keep you alive, is to keep you safe. And it doesn't judge that something's like at the stress we have every day is just normal stress. It sees it as life-threatening. So everything it does is to keep you alive, and the safest way to keep you alive is to keep you exactly the same as you are without change. So your unconscious mind would love nothing more than you to be laying on this lounge, fed intravenously, watching Netflix and never changing. Yeah. That's what your unconscious mind wants. So when you want to change or manifest, your critical mind will come in and try and distract you and say, no, how are you going to do that? This might happen, or that might happen. Yep. And it happens with a run as well. What if you do this? Or what if you injure yourself again? Your unconscious mind goes, come on, mate, go sit down. You don't need to change. Yep. Even if you want to change an eating habit, but you're alive and you've been eating a lot of cake, your unconscious mind says, cake is good. Keep eating cake, you're alive. Yeah. But you're thinking, I want to change, I want to be healthier. You have to actually convince your unconscious mind it's safe to change. And that's through repetition, or that's through some of the other techniques that I do. Hypnosis can bypass the critical mind and get there quicker. Kinesiology does that too, and that's why I choose these techniques that can bypass that and get that change happening quicker instead of reinforcing it for 6 weeks or however long it's going to take. Yeah.
When you hypnose someone, can they come out of that at all, or is it like got to be a continuous thing that you got to keep doing to their mind to allow them
all
to...
hypnosis is self-hypnosis.
Yeah.
If I don't have sort of respect in your eyes, or you don't see me as reputable, or you don't want to be hypnotised, you won't allow yourself to be relaxed enough to be hypnotised. Okay. And hypnosis is just really being in a relaxed state enough to bypass the critical mind. You can be in a hypnotic trance, driving back and forth here if you do it every day. You know, when you've turned up in somewhere and you go, I don't know how they get here. Yeah. You're in a trance. Yeah. So everything you're listening to on the radio, especially all those ads, they're going straight in. Yeah. So. Okay. And when you're in a run and you go into that sort of brain state, when you're into that theta brain state, that's a great hypnotic state too. So you can reinforce positive.
Well, there's a day there that I don't even remember how I got to the point. Like because I had my mum with me. We got to this point. I was like really angry and upset because I thought I only did 20 kilometers that day. And she was just like trying to reassure me. She's like, no, you did. And I was like, I don't physically remember any of that part running. I was just in a black space of just
gone into a trance.
Yeah. And like she had to fully like show me photos and videos that I posted in my little journal thing that I had to reassure me that I did like actually do it. And I just,
so it's powerful. Yeah. And when you see those ads on TV, that, you know, like that Hungry Thirsty ad where the guy does really stupid stuff, you know, that's a type of hypnosis where you get confused because it's really stupid, like those wizard ads and that are really stupid. That can actually put you in a confused state, which can put you into a trance because you're confused, and then they put their brand or their message in. Same thing happens. So we're going in and out of hypnosis all day long under different circumstances. People, those old stories about someone getting up stage and making cluck like a chicken, those people test. If you notice, they test the people beforehand to see whether they're agreeable to it, and then they'll send half the people back to make sure that those people know if they don't do it, they'll get sent back. So they do a few things to convince them to cluck like a chicken. But if you decide you're not going to, you won't. It's always under your control.
There you go.
That's really
Cool
interesting.
view to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, okay. Yeah,
wow.
right.
I'm
You know we're
calm.
going to be talking about chickens today.
No.
I'm starting off talking about
Hey.
chickens and your eggs.
Yeah, I'd like to hear that story.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm in a trance now. Actually, like shit. That's really powerful. Yeah, Jenny, if you wouldn't mind sharing with us how you got to this stage, like what led you to? I know you said you had that from 5 till you were 11, then you had the sores, and you became, aware that your conscious mind or your unconscious mind and being, manifesting and thinking all that.
How powerful it is.
Yeah. What then led you to go, well, this is something I want to pursue for my career?
Actually, it didn't straight away. I went into, I wanted to do something artistic because I've always been artistic. Couldn't get into that. Ended up going into corporate, and I was a business analyst developing computer systems. So I was analysing computer systems, and now I'm analysing people. But I always had that tendency behind me to look deeper into things. It's just I'm capable of doing corporate stuff, but I got to a stage in my life where I thought, oh, this isn't authentic, and
This isn't you.
I ended up moving. And then when I started having kids, that's what made me start to look into it a bit more, because my first daughter, I could see that she could use I could use some help managing her emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw this talk on kinesiology. I mean, have you guys seen a talk on kinesiology?
I've seen people had conversations with kinesiologists before, but I haven't watched talks.
Yeah, it's something more of a recent thing, but this was
Okay.
like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And I happened to see it, and that happened 2 more times. I was in 2 other different places, and someone got up and did a talk on kinesiology.
There you go.
So there was like 3 times I came across people talk,
Yeah.
and I just thought, I need to
3.
look into this.
Yeah.
And I did in the Neuro-Linguistic kinesiology, which is what I do. There's about 40 different types. There's 6 levels to it, and you can actually learn the first level and just use it on yourself and your family. And I thought, I'll just do that. I'll use it on my daughter. At the time, I've got 3 kids now, but I just had 1 at the time. But my personality is I can't just stop at level 1.
Yeah.
I've got to go to
All the
level
way.
6, and then
Yeah.
I've got to go and do
Bit further.
the anatomy, and then touch for health and everything to be qualified. So, and that once you get into this sort of line of work, there's just, you want to know more.
Yeah, there's like no endless boundaries, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know if you've seen that. Is it the Temple of Doom, Indiana Jones, where the crystal skull? And at the end, she goes, "Oh, tell me more. I want to know more." And the alien burns her eyes out. It's kind of like that. I need to know more.
Yeah.
And you just keep doing all this more and more learning, and you have to anyway to stay registered. You always have to keep your CP points up. But
Yeah.
I just kept going and going and going, and and it's to the point where I don't strictly call myself a kinesiologist anymore, because I've learnt so much other stuff. Plus I'm intuitive too, so I'll roll that in with what I'm doing. And I've just dealt with so many people, I can see patterns of behaviour. So I really just personalise what I do. But it's an ongoing journey. I'll still keep learning more stuff. I'll just keep adding to it.
Yeah.
And now I'm sort of moving into doing more with corporate stuff as well. So I'm teaching them this mindset stuff, but I'm also applying it to the business. So if I'm talking to you about visualization or your language, I can also talk to your business about where they see themselves going, or the type, or how they're communicating within the business. When I'm talking about manifesting, I can talk about their money mindset in their business. I also teach techniques to alleviate fight and flight reaction and calm your nervous system. So I teach those to help with stress in the office as well, but I can teach those to individuals.
Yeah.
So I was going to show you some of that.
Yeah, definitely.
Hell
Yeah,
definitely.
I was gonna say, like you're saying you wanted to show some techniques or
Yeah.
do some stuff with us. Yeah, feel free
Absolutely.
whenever you're ready
Well, I
to.
can do those sitting down anyway.
sweet.
But I can do about an hour's worth of techniques, but I'm not going to do that today. But I do run a courseware, and I include that in the business courses too, because you need stuff that you can do quickly to calm yourself down within a couple of minutes. You can't if you can't always find half an hour to sit in a corner and Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So
Johnny can, but yeah.
we've all seen someone when they're stressed do this.
Mm.
And when you go like this, oh my God, I'm so stressed.
Yeah.
You're unconsciously doing something to calm yourself. So you've got neurovascular points in your body, and there's 2 here. They're called emotional stress release points, but there's other points around your head. They found them by accident X-raying people, and when they held them, they saw the blood returned. When you're in fight or flight, it goes to your extremities to help you respond or react. And when they were holding these spots and X-rayed someone, they saw the blood go back and return, and the person calmed down. So when you're stressed, you don't have to know where these spots are. You can just hold your whole forehead. If you hold your forehead for a couple of moments, when you're in fight or flight, the blood goes to away from your frontal lobe because it doesn't want you to think. It wants you to react and save your life.
Yeah.
So whatever it can do to prevent you from thinking and just become more reactive, it does it. So it takes the blood away from your frontal lobe. When you hold your frontal lobe and I often combine this with, have you done box breathing when you do 4, 4, 4 breathing?
Yep.
So
Yep.
breathing in for 4, holding for 4, breathing out for 4, holding for 4. Well, if you combine it with some sort of breathing technique, it's great as well. So just holding it for a few minutes and breathing triggers the blood to come back to the frontal lobe, which calms you down and gives you back rational thinking. So this is one of the techniques. I've done talks at school for kids going into Year 12 for their HSC exams. Have you ever sat in an exam and your mind's just gone blank? You look down and you can't remember anything?
Yeah.
That's because you've gone into fight or flight, because your brain doesn't understand that this is just the stress of a test. I mean, they put so much pressure on these guys with their HSC. But when you're sitting there, I just teach them to just spend a moment, instead of panicking about how much time you've got, just hold your forehead for a moment, and I teach them some breathing techniques, and the blood comes back, and then they remember everything. They just have to spend a moment, because what they've done is their brain's gone into fight or flight because of the fear of doing their best in this exam. Another technique, when you're usually anxious or having some sort of an anxious episode, it usually happens in one hemisphere of your brain, whatever the dominant one is for you. Some people are more left brain, more logical, some people more creative, right brain. If you can, there's brain integration exercises that you can do, but the simplest thing you can do is just pick something up. So if you had a pen or something in front of you and you just find the midline, don't move your head, only move your eyes. When you move your eyes, I don't know if you've heard of eye accessing. Hopefully I'm holding this in the right spot.
Yeah.
Eye accessing points. You can actually, they use that with EMDR when they use eye accessing processing points. Well, if you don't move your head and just move your eyes and follow whatever it is in front of you past the midline, as soon as you cross over to the other side, you're going into the other hemisphere of your brain, and you to the middle, back to the other side, and you keep doing that, you're actually integrating the hemispheres of your brain, and it's creating all these things create like a circuit breaker, like an interruption in that anxiety or whatever it is that you're doing, and it actually calms that process down. It just exist in one hemisphere anymore. It has to change.
It's crazy you said that, because when I was on my run, when I was in like a lot of pain, I'd be looking around and like just everywhere, like moving my whole body, and like I'd feel the stress. And what I'd do, I'd just focus straight in front of me, and every line that was in front, I'd just look at it, and I'd like wouldn't move my head. My head like it was just my eyes just coming up and down.
Yep.
And I felt the pain from everywhere on my legs come out, and it's because I knew my mind was the strongest part of my whole body at that point.
Yep.
So what I'd do, I'd just focus in here, and I wouldn't feel anything in my body. I'd just be like focused, and the pain, like if I looked around and like moved my head and stuff, then the pain would come back. But if I just focused here and then like this to each line, when I got to it, I'd look back up and go to the next one, and like help me like just dial like come back
just
to the
breathing
center.
and moving your
And
eyes.
that's the thing too, my heart rate when I was running, so I was doing like close to 60, 70 Ks a day. My heart rate didn't go over 150 RPM, it just stayed at that. And it just from like purely focusing on something and then just staying nice and controlled. I even put Beethoven on, like classical music, just to like, instead of having like high beat music where it's like boom, 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 it was just like nice and calmed in the head.
Yep.
But yeah, like what you were saying then is like with the eyes, I didn't even know that. It was just like, but that's
so
what
you're
worked for
breathing
me.
and breathing. Even if you're keeping your head straight and you're just, I had this Chinese doctor one time who used a lot of these techniques, and he said, if you had a garden path and you had like and I use this a lot in visualizations when I talk to people, and there was like beautiful flowers on each side. He said, if you just walked down the middle of that garden path and breathed, holding your head straight, and then looked at all the flowers on each side all the way down and just took in the smell, by the time you got to the end of that path, you'd be calm. You're accessing, integrating and accessing different parts of your brain.
Yeah.
When you use opposite hand, when you do cross crawling, your brain integrating, using opposite arm, opposite leg. Cross crawling, your brain integrating. That's an exercise that you can use with kids. Kids that have behavioural problems need brain integration. And I teach that with kids too.
Yeah, well.
There you go. That's awesome. There you go.
So there's a lot more. There's a million of those techniques.
That's pretty good. So yeah, we have the one on the hand on the head. That's usually what I do too. Again, on the two-way, you're trying to think of something. You're like, I'm always like this. Everyone's like, oh, you okay?
Yeah, you do it.
I'm like, oh, I'm fine.
Unconsciously.
I'm fine. Like, I'm fine. No, I'm good. I'm like there. And then I'm like, speaking quite rationally, going, yep, so you need to do this, this, and this, and this, and this, and this. And they're like, you just look so fucking stressed. And I was like, well, I didn't feel it. Like, yeah, you do feel it, but you're like, well, it's reactionary. I don't know why it is just now. Like, you just explain. It's kind of just the stress response.
Some of the
I'm
points,
unconscious of it.
Some of the things that you do.
Is there one at the back? Like under your head? Because my auntie, she's like really into healing. She's from New Zealand, and whenever when I was young, she would say, if you got a migraine, just put your hand there and just like put it like a little pressure point, and it just relaxes your mind a little bit, and you can calm down.
And also, most migraines are caused because of that muscle that runs up there into your head.
Yeah,
and so you're relaxing. It's a pressure point for that muscle as well.
Yeah,
but if you have you heard of emotional freedom technique?
No.
That's when they use tapping. Have you tapping? That's emotional freedom technique. I think Tapping Solution, the guys online that does a lot of that. I do that with clients too. But and that can be quite a process. But one of the most simplest things you can do if you're stressed is tap on the top of your head. This is the most concentration of meridians that run through this point here. There's 10 of them. And so you're stimulating 10 points just by tapping your head if you're feeling stressed. So some of these things just seem too simple.
Yeah, that's like anything you like. All the work that we kind of do is like when you explain to people, you realize how simple things are.
Yeah,
but they just seem so hard. People are like, I don't know where to start, and then once you tell them where to start, they're like, oh,
that's what my intention is to take complex subjects or concepts,
and
simplify them.
Yeah,
that's I brought this book today because that's what I did this back in 2017 to help because when I was at the Golden Door. I was getting a lot of clients with self-worth issues, and these people were some of the wealthiest people in Australia and throughout the world that go out there. It's a 5-star resort. And we're told that when we've got a lot of money and we're successful and blah, 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 this all equals happiness. And I could see by being out there that it doesn't.
Yeah.
And that we're all human on the inside and all have the same issues. And, I mean, our body wants self-worth as a foundation for us to get out of bed in the morning. Otherwise, it'd be hard to get out of bed in the morning. And if it doesn't find it within us, it looks for it outside of us.
Yep.
And that could be through our relationships, our job. That's when you become a slave to your job. And these people had all created it through their businesses. So they've come from a place of low self-worth and they wanted to prove something to themselves and others and become very successful, but their power's all been tied up in what they've done external to them.
Yep.
And they're wondering why they're still not happy when they've achieved everything that they've set out to do. And so one of my other things that I love to do is to teach people the things that they can do to start developing self-worth within them so that they are free from being tied to these things outside of them. It just gives you more choice. And then I ended up writing notes for people and homework and all this stuff. And it used to take me most of the time writing all this stuff for them to take home or typing up after they've left to email it to them. And I ended up just simply putting it in a book. So I did this back in 2017 and it's as simple as I could make it, as if I was asking you a question, because I've realised that everyone's got their own version of where they are with their self-worth journey. We're all here, I guess, on earth on that journey, to discover ourselves and find our power, but we're not all at the same place. So when I ask the questions in here and show simple techniques, you find out where you are specifically, and then I like to see information 3 times to get it reinforced. So I've got you asking the question and discovering a lot about yourself throughout the book. Then at the end, I've got revision of all that you've discovered about yourself. And then when you flip the book over, the workbook's there. And then when you flip it over, I've got a journal included there in the back as well, where you write your insight. And you've created your own self-worth routine based on what you need to reinforce. And then I've got calendar days where it's just a checklist each day of what you need to do. So I can make it as simple as my aim was to make it as simple as possible, and it's still relevant. Like I did it back in 17, I could add a lot to it now, which I might, but it doesn't need to be hard.
Yeah.
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 That's incredible. So what book's that, Jenny? Want to hold it up
Call
for
it
everyone?
Embrace Your Power.
Embrace Your Power.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Embrace Your
But
Power.
really, it's just when people come to me and say, well, you're telling me I need to develop it inside, but where do I start? And so I was giving them all these tips. Well, basically, that's where you start. And during COVID, with everyone stuck at home, I got onto Facebook, onto private groups, and I actually created a course based on this book, but with the more information that I'd learnt. So not everyone's learning style is to read a book. So some people want to watch an audio or listen to a visualization. So I've made sure that I've covered all that in this course, and provided it online. So
Awesome.
and hypnosis in there as well. Yeah,
Awesome.
That's
Yeah.
incredible.
Awesome. And is that available for purchase or?
yeah. I've got some on my website or through Booktopia.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah,
Sweet. I'll link that in the description below.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for
I'll
sure.
be able to pick them up.
I actually want one. I was thinking,
Yes, I'm here.
sick. Yeah, it'd be awesome to
the
see.
one
where
that
you're
I've
at.
got on my private Facebook, I've actually done like a little coaching session, 5-minute one it's based on a 21-day cycle,
Cycle,
but you
yeah.
can take as long as you want, because once you've got access, you've got it for life. You can go and revisit as many times as you want. But it's, so you've got a little coaching session for me, but then if you're someone who needs to have things in a folder, you can print off worksheets. If you're someone who needs to listen to it, you can listen to audios. And I've got that for every day for 21 days in there, and it's just $99. I've just got it on for $99. That's for life, basically.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's unreal.
Beautiful. There you go,
incredible.
listeners. Get onto it.
Yeah, 100%. I'm going to get onto it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same here.
Awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing as well. Like you were saying, like we don't always have the time to, like you said, half an hour in the corner, or 5-day retreats, or go do your massages 3 times a week and stuff like that. Like, it's all well and good to have those things, but with the hustle and bustle of life as it is, we do need those techniques to be able to do on the
it
go.
needs to be a part of your daily life.
Yeah,
And a lot of the routine that you develop in here, it's kind of more in the morning. You're sort of conscious of it through the day, and then you do your journaling at night or whatever if you've got the time. It doesn't take any time.
yeah,
It doesn't
exactly.
take any time out of your day.
Well,
It's
that's
just
people
consistency.
complain about saying they don't have time, and I've I've shown people that if I can you can show people how you can do these tiny little things, because all people do is wake up in the morning, and they'll wake up like an hour before they have to go to work. They'll rush to get ready, rush to get to work, go to the gym in the afternoon, rush to cook dinner, and then go to bed. And they're like, I have no time. But until you break their day down, which is what we do, we break people's days down and show them all the hours that they're just stuffing around on social media that they could be doing something else.
Yeah.
When you break it down, you can do like simple little things like that, and like the stuff that we do as well. It's like there's so little. Like we got 5-10 minute breath works you could just do, which takes no time at all. Like little breath works you can just hold yourself if you're about to get angry or whatever it is. Like, yeah, there's so many tiny little techniques that are so simple, so easy that people just think they're too hard to do or don't want to do them because there's got every excuse under the sun.
That's a part of the unconscious mind's distraction, saying I can't do that because I can't change.
Yeah,
You've got to be conscious that your mind will do that.
yeah,
It'll jump in and that monkey brain will try and distract you.
yeah.
And you've got to say, no, I'm actually more important than that. I'm doing, and you're doing it for you. It's self-love.
Yeah.
It's not a burden, or it's not because someone told you to do it. It's something you need to do
Well,
for
I
your
reckon
best interest.
Over the last few years, it's probably like a lot of people have been you've been brought up to show that you're not meant to love yourself. You've got to love others first, type of thing. But I
Even an
think
Australian thing, you're up yourself.
yeah, exactly.
You're up yourself
Yeah.
if you love yourself.
I remember when I was growing up in high school, people used to say, "You love yourself," and I used to be like I do, but like I never. And then I'd view myself as like I'm up myself as well. And then it probably wasn't until like since I started this type of work, where like if people do say it, I'm like 100% I do. Like I
Yeah.
absolutely love myself.
Thanks for noticing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like it's not coming from an ego type of way, but it's just like you should
No,
be fully
you
loving
need to,
yourself.
because you're going to be an example to the people around you.
Mm.
And they say that your vibration's as good as the 5 people that you hang around with most. Do you want to hang around with someone that loves themselves or someone who doesn't?
Exactly. Yeah,
That's a very good point.
it's a very good point. I like that one.
Yeah. Give that back to him.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Give that back to you.
I'm just in my head. I just thought of the first 5 people. And I was like, they're actually pretty good people. So I'm doing good. Yeah, yeah.
That's incredible.
Any other questions, Maxie?
Yeah, well, in addition to that book, Jenny, you've
Yeah.
been part of others too.
Yeah,
Wanna share
I've done
them?
a couple of anthologies. Yeah. The first one was like they're all non for profit.
Yep.
I mean, I've got them on my website. The first one was to raise money for Indigenous writing scholarships and things, but that was called Heart-Centered Leadership, and it's actually the kind of work that you guys do. It's a group of people talking, as I am now, talking about how they ended up doing what they're doing and why they're doing it. Yeah, and it's their stories, and I've been included in that. That became an Amazon bestseller.
Really?
Yeah, on the day it launched.
Yeah, cool.
So that's called Heart-Centered Leadership, and the other book that I did is Letter to My Daughter, which is
I think
just
that's what he was
advice,
talking
advice
about.
to your daughters. I got 2 daughters, but I sort of included my son in my spiel because I feel like
You couldn't leave him
even though
out.
I couldn't leave him out, it has to be.
Yeah,
My kids are my kids. They're non-gender.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like they're just my kids.
yeah.
Not just my kids, but they're equally in my eyes. So
Do you know? Sorry to cut you off. Do you know what's? I just got goosebumps. Do you know what's weird? Fuck, I've got massive goosebumps.
maybe the aircon's too high.
I've got tears in my eyes. I'm currently writing a book called Heart-Centered Leadership.
Yeah.
Oh man, and I've halfway finished a book called Letter to Alia.
Oh,
Fuck, that is so.
So,
I've
yeah,
fucking
mate.
got tears in my eyes. That is so
you gave me
weird.
some goosebumps now.
That is so wild. You said the first one, I was like, okay, and then you said the second one, I was like, no fucking way. Like that is legit, exact. Oh man, that's amazing.
So you listen here, listeners. This is exactly why the universe has done this. Put it all together in the
Now
one
I'm gonna have to
spot.
call my book
This is
something else.
amazing.
I can't
Yeah.
compete against an
You got to
Amazon
Google the
bestseller.
names of the books. Yeah, it's an Amazon bestseller.
I
So,
can't compete with that.
Yeah. It was the book. The book basically, in my advice to my daughters, I spoke about how growing up and being a tomboy and seeing an inequality between genders and sort of fighting against that. But I didn't actually relax with that until I stopped fighting against it and stopped seeing it as inequality and had a look at my role in it. And then I finished off my chapter with a poem that I had in here, and just finished. The end of the poem was, "When you look in the mirror, my wish for you is that you love what you see." That's I want my kids to love themselves.
How have your kids now grown up? Like, what's their how have they grown up now? Having you in their corner, having someone who's so emotionally intelligent.
I hope they've done well. I see them as emotionally intelligent human beings who are really contributing.
Yeah,
My daughter's a criminologist. Can't say where she works or I'll get shot.
Yeah, top secret.
And my son's an aerospace engineer.
Oh,
Can't
wow.
say where he works or I'll get shot.
yeah,
And my other daughter's in a legal office working as paralegal. But I think they're all emotionally intelligent and they're very caring and conscious of others. And I think when their friends are going through something, they're usually the people they seek out
yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
So and we always, everything's not on the table. There's nothing off the table when we have discussions.
Yeah, that's unreal.
And it's so normal for us that I think it's embarrassing for their friends when they come over when we have a conversation.
Yeah, they're just like,
So-
what? Yeah, yeah. No, it would have been pretty cool to grow up with, because coming from where I grew up, it wasn't like that at all. It's more
Me
coming.
either.
Yeah. Well, it's cool that you pretty
Yeah.
much picked up on that from a young age, your
Yeah.
mindset stuff. Was it 5 years old or 11?
Yeah, it started at 5.
Yeah, just to have that mindset at such a young age. My mindset's only gotten strong in the last few years, but yeah, to have a parent like yourself that would bring such a different life to grow up, to have that emotional support, I guess.
I hope so.
Because a lot of people, for us, I know that we didn't get that emotional support because our parents didn't know it either. So how are they meant to teach
I
it to
didn't
us?
get it either.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, you can either repeat a pattern or you can
change it.
say, okay, that's how it impacted on me. What can I do?
Yeah.
How can I do that better?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, because I had a guy who worked with me. He used that. He's like, "Oh, my dad left his wife, or left my mum, and I don't want to get married because he did this, so I
Yeah,
don't want to
that's
do that." And I was
cop-out,
like,
isn't
"Yeah,
it?
but why do you have to do that? Because he did
Yeah.
that." And he's just like, "Oh,
You're not your dad.
yeah, exactly." And that's what I said to him. And he just, the way when I said it to him that way, is I was like, "You don't have to be your father. You can be someone completely different. You don't have to do the same stuff they do." And when you hear people say "Oh, I'm doing it because they do it," and I'm like, "Why do you have to be the exact same as everyone
Yeah.
else? Just because someone's doing something does not mean you have to do it."
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. When I've got clients that say those things, I'm a tough love person. I'm the devil's advocate too, and I'll ask them a lot of questions until they get the answers themselves. I never tell them.
Yep.
But I don't let people.
It's crazy. It's
Yeah.
exactly what I say.
Yeah, it's exactly what you say. So
I'll never let people sit in their comfort if they've come to me to move out of that.
exactly.
If they come to me to change, I'm going to help them change.
Yeah, yeah. I think that too. Like people coming into these spaces, they don't. They want the change, but once they get it like in their face, they're like,
It's
oh
it's
shit.
scary.
Yeah,
It's scary. Like they
Yeah.
say, the truth will set you free, but it's scary. People don't want to see it or face it. It's what do they call it? The journey, going through the dark night or whatever, dark night of the soul. When you have to go through that passage and look at your demons to come out the other side. But basically, everything is an opportunity to learn. There's no mistakes in life.
No.
Everything is an opportunity to learn. So, and what people don't realise is when they have repetitive things happen, we have unresolved emotions that store at whatever age, mostly between the ages of 0 and 7, that drive us now as adults. And our body doesn't care about time and distance, it just is. It stores the unresolved emotion, and it's stored at the emotional age you were. So I muscle test some people when they come in, have a look what the emotion is, have a look where it's stored, could be around 5 or 6. They might tell me something that doesn't seem like a big deal to them now with their adult knowledge and their life experience, but when they were 5 or 6 it was a big deal. And we'll talk about that. But I have had some clients that have had terrible things happen to them where they might have been abused and then been bullied at school and then had an abusive boss and then married an abusive partner.
Yeah.
That's could possibly be the same unresolved emotion being triggered in all those situations, even though they're all different. And what your brain wants is for you to resolve the unresolved emotion. It doesn't care about the detail. It doesn't need for you to go back to the original situation and get closure. And sometimes when you go back and say you forgive someone, they might resist it and say, I didn't do anything wrong, and it creates more problems for you than when it started. They don't even need to be a part of the forgiveness. But your brain just wants you to resolve the unresolved emotion. And that's when I get them to look at the patterns and find the lesson. It wants you to take the lesson, and once you take the lesson and assimilate it, and that I'm trivialising hers a bit with the abuse, but hers might be to value herself more or whatever.
Yeah.
And when she starts doing that more in her life, she doesn't attract that into her life anymore. It's like those 264 bits. If you've got unresolved emotions, that's a part of that filter as well.
Yeah.
It'll attract things into your life as an opportunity to resolve that unresolved emotion, not because it wants for you to keep going through that horrible thing in your life. Once you realise it's for you, it's not happening to you, it's happening for you, you can nip it in the bud and say, okay, what do I need to learn from this so I never have to go through this again? What do I need to take from this?
And I think, speaking on that, you have when you confront people with that situation, they find that triggering as well.
Yeah.
So I have a friend she's been through a cycle with guys where it's like the same bad things keep happening, but she isn't picking up on the cycle. And I finally hit her with it. And like the day it happened, it was a bit of a shitty conversation. But then the next day she came back to me and she's like, "You're so right. Like it's just a pattern that keeps happening." And I was like, "It's because you're not dealing with that issue. You're just moving on to the next one, and it's just happening again. It's just that cycle until you fix that, whatever it is. Until you fix it and face it yourself, then the patterns will change." And I think like a lot of people find it hard to hear that.
Yeah.
They find that you're attacking them, but you're not. You're just like, because for me, I used to get that a lot when I was a bit younger, and I'd be in my ego and get offended and then go at them. But then once you see it from a different perspective and you understand it, you're like, okay, like what is
That's the
going
other
on?
thing. Until you're ready to heal or until you're ready to change, it's all going to sound threatening.
Yeah.
Until you can't change, until you decide you can't change someone
Yeah.
or anyone outside of you. It has to come from you. And you're always going to be resistant and be threatened by it until you're ready. And it might just take that last thing, or it might be dis-ease within the body that triggers it.
Yeah.
Or losing that relationship.
Yeah.
Sometimes people have to hit rock bottom, but when they come to see me, hopefully they don't have to get to rock bottom. I can educate them on how to do this now instead of getting to that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong in saying, but you can let people know that they can get that closure within themselves. They don't need to seek that closure externally.
Always within yourself.
Yeah.
You
And
can't seek it externally.
Yeah.
Nobody else can give you that.
no.
Yeah, so instead of waiting for that conversation or waiting for, like you said, seeing that person from 3 months ago where it had affected you or
Yep.
whatever it might be, instead of waiting for that, come back in and go, okay, we've got to start assessing what's going on
because it's
here.
not about them. It's about the emotion, the unresolved emotion. And often when I muscle test an emotion for a person, I do that to take the power away from what's happening now, because I can demonstrate to them that they already had this unresolved emotion 10 years ago. It's being triggered by this person, and they think this person has all the power at the moment, but they've got no power. They already had it.
Yeah.
This person's just an opportunity to overcome it.
Yeah.
So, they've just been put in their path to help them, even though it seems like the worst thing that's happening to them right now.
Yeah.
But when you tweak that and you see that, it becomes empowering, because the power gets given back to you.
Yep.
Away from that person, you get to take all your power back and go, okay, this is my unresolved emotion. I'm in this seat where I have to look at these things and think, what do I need to learn from them so I don't have to repeat this pattern? And this person really doesn't have any power over me at all. That's everything that I do is to give my clients back the power.
Yeah.
And eventually make them autonomous in their healing, so they don't need me anymore.
Yep.
Teach them all the tools so that they can keep
It's
going.
so crazy hearing this, like, because that's what we're like.
Legit, this is word for word what we say to people.
Yeah.
Like, bang on.
Yeah.
Like, we don't want to create individuals where it's like you're solely dependent on us. We want to get you in here and then
That's
just spit you out
ego-driven.
to the world.
Yeah.
Very ego-driven.
Yeah.
It's very mind blowing. All this.
Yeah.
I'm sitting
It's
here.
nice.
I'm just sitting here listening to your words, Jenny.
You know,
I'm
Jenny,
like,
it is
like
so
this.
refreshing
Yep.
to hear that, especially that someone's been in the space for so long.
So
Like,
refreshing to find my tribe.
Here we are, baby.
like just that last statement there of being like, we don't want to have people that are, dependent on us, like having codependent relationship with
That's right.
a coach
It's
or someone they're
dysfunctional.
working with. It's dysfunctional, exactly.
Yeah.
And you're waiting for that coach or whoever to tell you what to do, and you're consistently sitting there waiting. Whereas what about if we started to empower people to make that decision for themselves? And then also, like you said, once that work is done, you go, well, off you go. Go out into the world. Go do it. Go do it yourself.
Come back for a bit of maintenance.
Yeah.
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 No, that last part too, Jenny, that's really hit me. Like your last thing, where I can in control. I know I've been doing this work with Jacob for just over a year now, and you still have your stumbles here and there, but we like to think of us as an upward spiral, like very similar to like we just said then with growth and being codependent on a coach. They keep you in that linear sort of growth phase where you just keep going challenge, and you go back to them all the time whenever you keep hitting it. Whereas what yourself and what we do is that upward spiral is that you're always going to hit the same challenges, but you're going to be better equipped at each level that you're up there.
That's right.
So that last little bit definitely hit me. I'm like, things are coming up again for me, but I'm like, well, no, I've got awareness now why it's coming through, what emotions I'm feeling, why it is triggering me so much, and I have techniques to kind of get away from it rather than going,
Push you back in the driver's seat.
It's
That's right.
like I say on my stuff is like I don't like to look at it as mental health, because people see it as a bad thing. It's like more like a mental fitness. Like you go to the gym, the more reps you do at bench, you're going to get stronger, even though you're facing the same problem, but you're stronger at that thing. It's the same as this type of work. You're going to have the same challenges as everyone else, but you're going to be so much more in control of your own actions and your own thoughts and what you can do to go further. So it's exactly the same. Like this is just emotional fitness. That's all it is.
How a tree becomes strong is all the resistance.
Yeah.
All the wind and everything that's pushing against it, and it gets taller and stronger as it goes. Yeah.
That's a good one.
I like that one too.
Steal that one.
Yeah. Got a mental ticks on it. Bookmarks in my mind.
It doesn't have to build up against the wind that's blowing it over. It doesn't get stronger. It just flops over.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, one last question. Did you want to share with the boys a couple of stories from when I was a little tyke?
He had a lot of activity, a lot of energy. And Caroline, his mum, can you look after him for a bit? Okay. So like I'm just sitting in the, what are you doing, Maxie? What are you doing? Sitting in the lounge room. Go in there. He's got the little, I don't know, what do you get, 2? Something like that. Pretty young, but hardly just walking. Got the little chair, opened up the fridge, got the chair in the fridge, standing up on the chair, and just got the eggs, throwing them around the house, smashing them up against the wall. And I'm going, what are you doing, Maxie? Caroline's going to kill me. Like, what sort of babysitter am I?
That's so good.
Yeah.
In my defence, I just like the way they broke.
The sound that they made, little
Yeah,
smashy noise.
Yeah, it was a great noise.
Yeah.
I still do it.
And then your mum would bring you over to my house and then straight into the pantry and just like devour all the a whole packet of
Yep.
whatever it is would just be gone.
He still does that.
What are you doing, Maxie?
Eating out my food.
You sound exactly like my son Luca. He's the exact same. He these phone tripods, he uses them as whippersnippers. So he pretends that that's a whippersnipper and he'll go around. He didn't know what was going on this first time. I was like, wait, watch this. I was like, Luca, come here, get the whippersnipper. And Ty's like, we don't have a whippersnipper. What are you talking about? He comes around this corner and he's got the whippersnipper and he's like, pretend to cut this. And then he's running everywhere. He eats like nothing else. Eats like 4 punnets of blueberries in one sitting. Like, cost me an arm and a leg. Mate, I feel so bad for your mum. Jesus Christ. Yeah.
She was very patient.
I know she is.
But I always find, my cousin was like that too. She had a lot of energy, but it's just misdirected energy.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, you always know that as soon as they're directed into something, they're going to be amazing humans.
Strongest man in Australia.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Look at him.
Very nice.
Exhibit A.
Yeah.
Big grin on me. No, I appreciate that.
Yeah. So you got any more questions?
No, that really much covered it all. Actually, yeah. Where can we find you? What website do we need to go to? What do we need to do?
My website's jennystanleymatthews.com. I've just got my maiden name in the middle so people recognise me.
Yep.
.com.au it is.
Yep.
I'm on Facebook. My business is Centre for Clarity, but so it's Centre 4 Clarity on Facebook.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm out at Coal Point
Beautiful.
on the west side of the lake.
Stomping grounds. That's where I grew up. yeah. I grew up in Toronto.
Bring your passports.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I'm just right near there.
Yeah, near there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't been out those ways in a while, but
Oh,
yeah.
very good.
Oh, well, thank you for coming on. That was a great chat.
Yeah.
It's been refreshing to hear someone else in the space
Yeah,
who's been here for a long
that's like,
time.
what, nearly 60 episodes? That was one of my favorite podcasts. So thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Because that
Yeah.
was like, you said those 2 books. I was like, tears nearly. And then you said the exact same statements that we say to our clients. It's just, that was.
Yeah, it's nice to
unreal.
hear that like you've been in this space for a very long time.
Yeah.
Like we're coming into it like reasonably new, I'd say. It's like nice that what we're doing, it's worked in the past, obviously
Yeah.
for you, and then like we're still bringing it in. So it's like it's just more evidence for people to see that
I think
this type of work works.
I've
Yeah.
done a lot of the physical, and then working at the Golden Door and only seeing someone who comes. Usually, I see someone for about 3 treatments minimum.
Yeah.
But at the Golden Door, it's a resort. You see them once. They're there for the week and they go.
Yeah.
So I kind of had to work out what can work so these people can get the most out of one treatment and go. What I found was finding the core emotion, getting into the unconscious,
Yeah.
and that's the key. Yeah, to start the shift. Basically.
That's our program.
That's our
That's our
program.
main program. It's
Yeah.
called The Shift.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now it's time for you to plug.
No, they've heard way too much about that. They're over it. They're like, I don't want to hear about it.
Yeah.
again.
So thank you heaps for coming on. It's
Yeah,
been
that was
really
awesome.
great
Thanks
to
for
have a
inviting me.
chat.
I really enjoyed chatting to you guys.
Yeah, it's been good.
I'm
Definitely have to get you on
glad
again.
I'm glad to hear that we've got consistency happening and we're helping people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Rarity, but it's here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, very refreshing.
Yeah.
So thank you. Cool.
Alright.
All right. Well, yeah, like Jenny said, you can catch her at a website. You can catch us
On our stuff.
here for every single time that you're here.
Yeah.
Maxie, you got anything? You're good?
Yeah, I'm very good. Thank you so much, Jenny.
Thanks for inviting.
Great to see you again. Been nearly 25-ish years longer. Long time, but
It's been a
very,
while.
very,
Let's not talk about ages.
We'll shut up. We'll shut up.
I think I'm the oldest person on this podcast, aren't I?
Yeah.
Yes.
Be careful.
I'm just thinking.
Yeah.
Possibly. All right, cool. All right, we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.
Sweet. Thank you.
Thank you.